in 2014, a game called Shadow Warrior came out. All right, it was a reboot of a classic franchise from the I want to say 90s, although it might have been 80s. And I got the opportunity to play it. I got the game, and to be honest, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. Actually, what turned me on to it was my friend Reality Pales. He was doing some gameplay videos and uploading it on Facebook and stuff like that. And I saw it, and he told me, hey, it's a pretty good game, you should check it out. So I eventually did. And I was pleasantly surprised about this game. I wasn't really expecting a lot, but what I got in return was a pretty overall lengthy and very enjoyable experience. With a few repetitious moments here and there, alright? So Shadow Warrior 2 has finally been announced, and I had the opportunity to play it at E3 2016. And this is pretty much what Shadow Warrior 1 was, just on a huge, much bigger scale, alright? Now you still have your classic character weighing around, and he kind of, you still have those funny, quirky moments with the great dialogue that you had in the first game. But now the game has turned into a procedurally generated world. So instead of the linear path that you went through in the first game, this game is a lot more open, it's a lot more diverse, and every single path and enemy encounter is very much different from the next person. So that being said, it's really, really cool, and from what I played so far, the environments are gorgeous. This is one of the best looking games like I've ever seen. However, the frame rate could not keep up. This game was chugging along, and it got to the point where I would say it was even unplayable, and I was unable to continue, alright? So it's a 30 frames per second game. Like the first game, it was actually at 60 frames per second unlocked frame rate, alright? That was the frame rate of the first game, and it worked very well. It was very smooth most of the time. It handled well. This game was 30 frames per second. It was a lot more gorgeous. The graphics were unbelievably highly detailed. It looked like I was playing on a PC, like max settings, but with a graphics card that couldn't handle it. So that being said, the frame rate chugged to like the 20s, it got into the teens, it would even get into the single digits. Like, it was bad. Like, of all the games I played at E3 2016, this had the worst frame rate drops of any game. Like I said, it got to the point where it was just unplayable. I just could not continue. However, from the 5 or 10 minutes that I did play the game, and it was kind of stable, and I was able to sort of get through and just fight the frame rate issues, I really did enjoy what I played. The combat has just been greatly tweaked to the point where it's a lot more fun, and it's also a lot more varied. You can go and pull these special moves with your sword, and then you also have these new abilities, these supernatural abilities that you can implement into your core game, which really do help bring the combat to a great new heights and things like that. So you have this one move that I was using a lot is it's kind of like a force push, keep it in mind. So when you have too much enemies around you, you can do this weird push mechanic where he does like this with his arm, and it basically creates this push force field and just obliterates everything in front of you. It just pushes them further out into the battlefield so you can kind of walk away and just kind of go back into ranged combat if you want to do that. And that was really cool. And what's also awesome is that destructible environments are very key here. This is a type of game where the movement system is so complex and free that you can basically like fly through the map at like 25-30 miles an hour, just just like that. And it's really, really enjoyable. It's really cool to look at, and you really feel like a supernatural strong being that the first game actually kind of gave you across and things like that. So you're still fighting demons in this game. Demons are still the main threat, and you still have key iconic characters returning here and there, so that's great. And it really was a game that I was excited to play, and I walked away, even though it was having humongous frame rate issues, I still walked away very pleased with what I played, and it was enjoyable. You still had the great commentary and the dialogue in there. That was still all retained. The graphics were just like really, really good, like really, really impressive. If they could just iron out the frame rate, and I do believe that this game should get a target 60 frames per second for consoles. This game is coming to PC and it's coming to PS4. As far as my knowledge, it is not coming to Xbox One, which is odd because, you know, the 2014 reboot actually did come on Xbox One. So I wonder if the game will indeed be coming to Xbox One, although I'm just not sure. But this is definitely, I mean, the game needs to be around 60 frames per second. It is just that type of game where a lot of stuff is going on, and you need that high fidelity frame rate to really get what's going on and really make sure that everything's smooth and handling well, and you can actually see everything in motion. This is definitely going to be a PC game for me, alright? One of the big changes this time around is the inclusion of a cooperative campaign. This is going to be really exciting because the first one did not have this, and this one is going to have up to 4 players cooperative campaign through the whole entire experience. You guys already know my opinions on co-op campaigns. I don't like them in particular just because when you're playing with your friends, it distracts you from getting sort of emotionally involved in the story, and it can make even a great story seem underwhelming or just mediocre because you're not really paying attention to it, and you're also not really getting emotionally involved in it because you're, you know, playing with your friends, you're enjoying yourself, you're having a good time, you're cracking jokes here and there. And so when co-op comes into place, I prefer that it would be a separate campaign rather than a main campaign, and that's just always been how my mentality is. That being said, this is kind of cool, and Shadow Warrior isn't gonna have Shadow Warrior 2 is not gonna have this emotionally in-depth story that we're all sort of, you know, gonna sit here and be expecting when we play the game. So I think the co-op may actually work this time around, and it may actually be quite enjoyable and things like that. And who knows, it may really add something to the experience that was really missing in the first game that none of us really knew that we wanted. So from Shadow Warrior 2's perspective, I really enjoyed what I played. I thought the game looked great. I thought the game took everything that was great about the reboot and really just put it on a much bigger scale while adding in new elements that just really enhanced the overall gameplay experience. You guys know I've not been impressed yet by procedurally generated games, so I don't know whether this procedurally generated world is going to be coming up as a great thing or if it's going to be a mediocre, lackluster thing. All right, the procedurally generated games that I personally played just have not impressed me and have turned out to be more frustrating than they are useful or impressive. And so I'm hoping that this game can be the one that kind of turns my opinion on that and really, you know, makes me realize, like, hey, you know, no, a procedurally generated world can really add some really awesome things to the gameplay experience. So that's what I'm hoping, and well, I guess we'll find out whenever the game releases. Alright, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any questions about Shadow Warrior 2, you can leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.